It is Amber Kivett with LifePro. Super excited that you're here today. I have been reading a lot of the posts in social media here in the last few weeks. I've seen a lot of questions being asked about how you can use whatever LifePro device you have for the purpose of helping with sciatica or hip pain specifically. So today is all about me sharing with you from my medical expertise, my rehabilitation background, as to how we can use the many different devices that LifePro offers you to help in minimizing or healing or curing your sciatica or deep booty pain. All right. So when you have, there's a common phrase being a pain in the butt, and you're talking about challenges going on around people, things, groups in your life, but to actually have a pain in your butt is so not fun. So I have seen a lot of consistent posts here lately in the last several weeks about individuals who are struggling with sciatica. And so today it's all about showing you different tricks, tips, remedies, applications, just different guidelines and what sciatica really is, because most of you think you have sciatica, but the true onset of full-blown sciatica as a spinal impingement is actually pretty rare as compared to having tightness around the sciatic nerve because of muscles that are too tight in the hips. So we're going to talk about that. But first, it was interesting. We just kind of had a great conversation about life and balance. And today is Earth Day. And so I'm really excited about Earth Day because it's a day that we get to stop, pause, and recognize the wonderful things that are going on in nature, in our natural life, in our green spaces. And what is really important, I got to submit, I'm co-writing a book right now, and it's about the future of fitness and wellness. And so I did a lot of research and putting information into this book, and it's supposed to be released over the summer. What I wanted to share with you, though, is there's a lot of people who are looking for natural remedies as to how to feel younger. My 44th birthday is next week, by the way. So how can we feel younger as we are getting older without having to use drugs and pills and doctors and having to spend a lot of money on different therapies? And so what I wrote about last week is called biohacking for an optimal you. And biohacking is having the ability to change and transform or manipulate human biology and giving our bodies a chance to thrive in a better direction as opposed to our bodies breaking down. And I like to refer back to that because LifePro is very much biohacking. And many of you are getting to witness that at home with the many different products that LifePro has released. You're getting to experience how our different products are able to help you at home for decreasing pain and increasing your vitality and your quality of life. And it's all considered a biohack. You don't have to biohack into your chemistry by using a certain substance or injections or medicinal properties, but we can use devices for biohacking. Because today is Earth Day, I want to talk about nature or forest bathing. Forest bathing was actually created by, is a buzzword created by the Japanese in the late 1980s. And it's all about getting out into nature and recognizing the senses and how your five senses within the human body connect and correlate with nature's surroundings. And so in a lot of European countries, specifically Switzerland is the one that I researched, Switzerland is known for what they call forest bathing. And main thing is to get out, get into the mountains or the hills or the green life, or whether the snow is, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, it doesn't matter. Forest bathing is all about getting out into nature's environment and allowing your sights and your smells and your sounds and your texture and what you're breathing, allowing all of those to really saturate into your body so that you can recharge, reinvigorate, and regenerate just our different, we're just going to say a lot of re's, right? And getting our body to heal itself over time. And homeostasis is defined as how our body is able to regulate itself in the point of life. So how can we best regulate our body for getting younger as we actually add on years to our life? So as I'm actually moving forward in my life, another year at the age of 44, I actually feel about 20 years younger, and it's all because of LifePro. If you look at my life 4 or 5 years ago, before I got involved with LifePro, I was miserable. I was 200 pounds, didn't really have the ability to connect within my body because my body was dysfunctional. And just with that came depression and pain and anger and frustration and no sense of hope that I was ever going to feel better. And then I got to meet the LifePro Turbo device with Joel, and that's way back when a lot of the other products had not come along yet. And I got to experience an entirely different new feeling of life by just standing on a platform for 10 minutes. And what it did is it biohacked into my body and allowed my nerves and my body to reconnect because I'd had a surgery. So my body was not connecting the way that it should have been connecting. And so the vibration platform, I like to call it the magic machine, actually gave my body a chance to reconnect, recalibrate, connected the brain to the peripheral nerves, and gave me a sense of life all over again. And the more I got on it, the better I felt. And then they came out with massage guns, which we're going to feature here. They came out with vibrating foam rollers, which we're going to go over here. And there's so many different products that have come out in the last several years that I've been privileged to test and educate all of you about. But it all comes back to truly being connected with our body and understanding what we're feeling and what we're doing to create overall balance. So in honor of Earth Day, I want you to get outside and take at least 15 minutes of just absorbing your surroundings. If you live in a big city and it's really noisy outside, truly embrace what you are hearing, what you are seeing, whether it's animals, whether it's water, whether it's the wind is blowing. Try and tune out all the loud traffic, all the people complaining, and just really dive into and immerse yourself into seeing what's right out in front of you, whether it's trees. Here in Indiana, it's 70 degrees today. We had snow earlier this week. And so today it's actually 70 degrees outside. So it's nice to be able to go outside, but to be able to see things starting to blossom and come up roots through the ground, because our body, much the same like the roots in the ground, if we take care of our roots, which are considered our meridians, and our nervous system, if we take care of our roots, then the flowers and the fruit will blossom better and better as we are pampering like what's truly within our core. And that goes back to regeneration of life in nature. So in honor of Earth Day, get outside today and do some forest bathing if you are near a green space with forests. If you are near a beach, do some beach bathing where you're getting out and you're soaking your toes into the sand and you're gripping that sand and you're feeling how it ignites your body and it's refreshing. If you're on the West Coast, if you're in California, get down to one of the waterways and feel that Pacific Ocean on your feet, how numbing cold it is. But cryotherapy is actually really good for you. So don't be afraid of that super, super cold water. But make sure that you get back out into that sunshine and you soak your feet back into the sand, letting it dry off, letting the sun bake you a little bit, sinking into your senses and just feeling what the earth has to offer you, because the earth is very, very therapeutic. I'm seeing, oh, hi, Pat. It's so good to see you. It is gorgeous but windy here in the Show Me State. Love it, love it. And good deal. I see that Jesse has ordered a 4D Rumblex, and we're going to actually cover the 4D. I have it right out here in front of me. So I'm going to show you how you can use that for fixing sciatica pain. But again, wanted to make sure we're recognizing Earth Day, recognizing balance within our life, biohacking for an optimal you so that you can grow older while feeling younger like I am. And again, I'll be 44 years old next week on Thursday, I think it is. It's on the 27th. And so hopefully I'm going to have to connect with all of you on that day because I love celebrating my birthday with all of you. But it's about biohacking and aging backwards from a biohacking homeostasis purpose, as opposed to aging forward and feeling like we're feeling older. That sucks. But it all comes down to stress management. And so make sure that you're taking time for yourselves. Make sure that you're doing something special each and every day for yourself, whether it's 10 minutes on a platform, whether it's 10 minutes of watching one of our videos with Debbie or Roseanne doing some yoga or doing some cycling, or just doing some meditational work, writing in a journal, getting outside, getting some fresh air, recognizing acts of kindness or doing something kind for somebody else. Make sure that you're doing something very special each and every day for yourself so that you can balance out stress, recharge your mind, recharge your body, and age younger as you get older. Okay? All right. Now, let's get on into our different devices. What I want to show you, I know so many people have been suffering of sciatica from what I've seen on the social media posts. And so, what I'm going to show with you today is what is exactly sciatica, because I don't think a lot of people realize what sciatica really is. So, I want to make sure and show you some of this. So, this is my handy dandy mannequin model, okay? And this is our outside, the deepest level of our muscular level is 7 layers deep. So, I'm going to go down here and subtract our levels all the way down to the base. And that big yellow thing that you see there, that is your sciatic nerve, okay? That big yellow branch of squiggle marks is actually your sciatic nerve. It is the largest nerve in the body, okay? And it innervates all the way down into the feet. It branches off of our sacral spine, okay? And it also has some innervation within the lumbar spine. So when we sit too long, okay, when we sit too long and we don't use our booty muscles all that much, our booty muscles get tight and start to constrict on that nerve, okay? But true sciatica actually originates really deep within the actual attachment where it attaches into the spine. So a lot of people talk about having sciatica, but they really don't have sciatica. They just got really tight butt muscles. If you have true sciatica, you're usually looking at a spinal fusion, or you're looking at some kind of a procedure in which they can take the pressure off of the sciatic nerve at the spinal nerve root. And sometimes that can be spinal stenosis. Sometimes it can be osteoporosis. Sometimes it can be just you've had a spinal injury or a disc bulge, different things that can lead up to that. But actual sciatica is not as common as having pain, a deep, sharp pain in your butt that travels on down your leg. I treat for it every day with my clients, and we relieve it every day with my clients just by getting them moving and taking pressure off of that nerve. So let's go into entering some muscles. So let's add, we're adding in some of our glute muscles, our deep, deep butt stabilizers, okay? These are the butt muscles that most people don't really recognize because it's not the butt muscle that we all see on the outside. But what's really important is this muscle right here, okay? That is your piriformis. It's all lit up in yellow, right? And that is lit up. And so what I want to show you is actually how that muscle works. And so when that muscle is actually working, you're going to see here in just a second, its job is to raise your leg, okay? But when we sit all day and that muscle is really short and it actually has to activate and move your leg, doesn't want to move the leg because it's tired and it's short and it hasn't done anything. So it gets a little case of the lazies. So it decides it doesn't want to work. The other thing that it does, here it comes, wait for it, is it actually brings your leg, it rotates your leg to the outside, okay? So when it tightens up, it brings the leg back and around, all right? So we get lateral rotation to the side, and then it brings our leg to the outside, not to the inside, but actually brings it to the outside. So outside and rotation, all right? So what's really important here is when we sit a lot during the day is when our muscles start to act up a little bit. And so we are doing a lot of sitting nowadays because of just life in general. And so the older that we get, I think the more that we sit. So it's really important to stay moving. But what I want to show you here as well is, in addition to not working very well with that, we have this muscle that I just popped up here on the side, this one right here that's yellow, and that is our gluteus medius muscle. If that muscle is not working very well, then this down here gets a lot tighter and creates pressure on the sciatic nerve. But it's not an actual sciatic injury, it's just pressure on the nerve. Let's add another round of muscle here. Now we add the big one. So there's our big butt muscle that everybody refers to as the gluteus maximus. And if the gluteus maximus and all those hip stabilizers are tight, then we get compression on we get like cramping down onto the sciatic nerve, which then allows us not to move as well. And so it just trickles on down to our leg. The other thing I want to show you is, as we are looking at the other muscles in our lower body, if you see there, these muscles back here, up and down, those are your hamstring muscles. Those muscles actually attach also around and below the knee, and then the muscles below the knee, the calf muscles, they actually attach above. So anywhere along the backside of our leg, if we are experiencing tightness anywhere along the backside of the thigh, we have the ability to have tightness in the butt muscles as well. And if we sit a lot, then all of these muscles get tight throughout the day. So the secret to sciatica is actually getting moving. So I'm going to show you what we can do in order to help with those muscles using our different devices. Now, first things first, massage gun does a world of good for all of those different little muscles. This is the Dynam Mini, okay? This is probably one of my favorite massage guns that we make because you can travel with it very, very easily. It packs into this little case, okay? And we can carry it in our purse, we can carry it on a plane, can stick in our glove box in our car. It can go into, a file drawer in your office, but it doesn't take up a whole lot of space, so you can take it with you anywhere you want to go. Now, if you are wanting to work on the sciatic nerve, what I'm going to caution you, a lot of people will want to go right into the hot spot of the sciatic nerve. And what you have to be careful of is you don't want to create more inflammation where that nerve is located, because then you're going to feel more pain the more inflammation you get. So I tell people, wherever you feel pain is seldom ever the actual cause of the pain. It's just the releasing point. So we want to make sure when it comes to sciatica, we don't necessarily want to beat the area with the massage gun with the rubber ball. We want to make sure that we are working all the muscles around the sciatic nerve in order to get everything to move a little bit better. So I'm going to show you using the Dynam Mini. And we've got 4 different levels of speed, so it really packs a punch when you're traveling with it. But we're just going to start, like I said, with the gluteus medius. That's this part right here. I'm going to come up close and in person, showing off my butt today to everybody. We're just going to go in kind of a fanning pattern, okay? And what's really nice about the Dynam Mini is you can put the bracelet strap on, and that way, if you should drop it, you don't have to bend over and grab it. Like, you got it right here, so you have a little bit more control. But we're just going to start up and down. And if you saw before, that muscle kind of resembles like a fan. And so we're going to work back and forth, kind of like a fanning motion, just back and forth in a zigzagging pattern, okay? Then we're going to zigzag up and down, okay? So there's a lot of different ways that we can do that. Zigzagging up and down. Now, right up in here, where I'm at really high, so my belly button is about right, belly button is right here. Right here is where my gluteus medius minimus muscle is. And for most people who have sciatic pain or have some sharp pain going down their leg, this area right here is a hot zone. A lot of sensitivity here. So make sure that you're working on this area through here, because most people will go straight here, and right here is not going to be the source of your problem. Majority of individuals have a source of the problem is this area right here is not mobile, not moving. And so you got to get that part moving. Got to get it loosey-goosey. You can get into a bend forward position and work more on the muscle on a stretch, okay? And again, just zigzagging back and forth on a level that it feels good. If you need more focus, more attention, then we can go a lot slower. So 1 inch per second is what we can do. But instead of using a massage gun for that, I highly recommend the vibrating foam roller, because the vibrating foam roller does a much bigger area and you can relax and actually soak into it. Whereas this, you actually are able, you have to focus using your upper body into controlling where you're hitting different muscle groups, okay? So that's one way that you can do that. That's the Dynam Mini. Now, what I'm going to show you next is going to be using the M1 Sonic, and this is a popular device on Amazon right now, so you can find it on Amazon. It's not one of those massage guns that we featured a lot live, so I wanted to be able to show it to you all today because it comes with a lot of parts and a lot of accessories, so a lot of attachments, add-ons. But this is the Sonic M1, and I'm going to go ahead and take it out of here. Now, because the sciatic area is a very sensitive area, I like to use this rubber tip. It looks like a spring, okay? It's kind of softens, I like to say it softens the blow to everything. So we're going to flip the switch on at the bottom, and then we are going to turn it on. And it has a really cool feature, the Sonic One. It has the ability to create intervention, or I'm sorry, different, it has different auto modes. I'm sorry, it has different auto modes. So I've got it on an auto mode right now. And again, like I said, I'm just going to work more into a fanning pattern, following up into my hip. And again, the gluteus medius minimus on the backside is going to be really important for softening the sciatic tension. Okay, so we do it back in the back. Now, if you're wanting to get more into true sciatica, then you want to put your foot up onto a step and work with it from underneath. You can work the sciatic from underneath. Another option would be to get on the vibrating foam roller or the horizon balance trainer. I'll show you this. And you can use that as a way of stabilizing how you can use this. So let me get myself situated here. I have all these machines out here. Okay, now I'm going to tilt the camera down so you can see this better. All right, so what I can do is I'm going to lay off to the side here, and we can work it in a more relaxed position, but I'm actually got my leg bent, okay? And we're just working in a fanning motion, back and forth, up and down your tush, and you can put it on a stretch. Now, if we're wanting to get the optimal stretch for our sciatica, we're going to get into what I call this knees are shoulder width apart. I call it the birthing position. You can call it whatever you want, but we're going to rock the legs to the side because up here is where people tend to get stuck. So we're here, we're going to rock to the side, and then we're going to run the massage gun up and down across that side, okay? That's one way you can do it. The other way that you can do it is you can cross over like such, and then you can run it right up the bottom, okay? This is how a lot of people stretch for sciatic pain. And this is going to get into some of the deeper muscles of the hamstring and into some of the other deep hip stabilizers as to where they run underneath the big gluteus maximus. You can get a little bit more of those. So if you have pain going down your leg, you can actually work that. Now, if the hamstrings are tight, don't hesitate to work those at the same time. If you have autoimmune conditions in which you feel pain a lot more than what most people do, then make sure that you're using, like I said, that spongy looking springy rubber tip, or that you're using one of the ball tips, because you don't want to create more pain in order to take away your pain. Okay, so we're just going back and forth in a zigzag pattern, and you can work a variety of different areas, but don't worry about taking all of your treatment into the direct sciatic point, because again, we don't want to aggravate the sciatic nerve. We want to take care of everything around the sciatic nerve that is likely tight, causing the problem. So there's your Sonic M1 massage gun, okay? And again, it comes with a lot of different attachments. I just wanted to get into some brief ideas using some of the other smaller gadgets as to what you can do for sciatic relief. What I would like to show you next is how to use the vibrating foam roller. And I love using the vibrating foam roller for relief more than I like using some of the other stuff, because you can really dial in. And this one has a heating pad that goes with it, and you don't have to use the heating pad, but you can. All right, so that comes off, and now we have this textured, and they can post a link as to what where you can find these on Amazon or on our website. But on here, you're going to find a button on the bottom, and it's going to light up so you can see how it all lights up. So we've got, I believe, we've got 5 different levels of intensity on this one. And this one's a little bit different than our original, but either one are going to work great. You just have to make sure you keep control of them, because it likes to roll away. All right. So here we go. So you're going to take your foam roller, and I have a whole video on this that I did several months ago. You're going to have a seat on your foam roller. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see it here. Okay, so we're here. All right, so this is the Surger Pro. We have the Surger and the Surger Pro. This is the Surger Pro. They're both very, very similar. One has a heating element that goes with it, and the other one is the original. But they're both textured, and they both have a lot of vibrational energy to them. And they're both very cost effective, because the original vibrating foam rollers that came out years ago are super expensive. But anyhow, just sitting right here, okay? Now, if I roll my leg inside to outside, we're doing a cross section across the whole butt muscle and into the hip stabilizers. So I'm really feeling this in my hip. We're going to roll forward just about an inch. We're going to do the exact same thing. rocking and rolling. The hard part I think many of you are going to find is just holding yourself up here on this, and that's okay. You're able to put all your weight on it. I'm starting to itch. I don't have sciatica, and I'm starting to itch, so we're doing something into those butt muscles. I did a really good workout yesterday with some clients, and I hadn't done one of those workouts in a while. Whew, yes. And just so you know, if you have not been on your platform in a long time, that's me. I hadn't been on one in a while. I had taken a couple weeks off, just life got busy, went on vacation, got back into the swing of things, got back on my platform, and I itched something fierce. So just remember, itching is a sign of your body eliminating wastes and toxins. It's not anything to be worried about. Oh, this feels really good. So I'm going to stay here for just a second. I'm just doing a little baby rocking and rolling. So I did the windshield wiper maneuver here with my leg, and now I'm rocking back and forth over it because it feels so good. You got to do stuff that feels good, right? So anyhow, if you should take time off of your platform, you miss a couple of days, or you decide to do a little bit more time than what you're used to, and you start to get a little itchy, and you start to get a little bit of a red rashy going, that's good. That means you're getting rid of crap in your system. Don't be afraid of that. But if you get to the point where it's like too intense, I'll give you a little insight. If you're not allergic to peppermint oil, and if you put peppermint oil in the area that it itchies a lot, it takes the itchiness away. Because peppermint oil is a really good detox oil. Whew, yes, we'd be itching. So I need some peppermint oil on that. Okay, now I'm going to get right on top here, facing you so you can all see this. And I don't think I charged my serger long enough. Yeah, it's talking to me. It's saying, Amber, you have used and abused me, and now I'm dead. So let me grab the original, because I have the original. And the original, we use these a lot at my facility. This is like one of my favorite tools. There we go. We got operating. So this is the original. This is the original serger. Okay, so I'm going to get on here, okay? And what I'm going to do is if I'm having pain going down the back of my leg, I'm just going to roll back and forth an inch per second at a time, just an inch per second, okay? If I have trouble with holding myself up, you can actually just sit on the floor and you can rock it, okay? You can also pump your foot. So hold, pump the foot, roll, okay? Pump the foot, because remember that sciatic nerve runs all the way down into the bottom of your foot. So there's so many different ways that you can treat that nerve. If you've got tightness in the back of the thigh from sitting a lot, if you have plantar fasciitis, then you're going to work more down into the calf. Go windshield wiper with the leg, work your way up an inch at a time. But if you have plantar fasciitis, you do not have a foot problem, because your foot is supposed to be a spring loading effect for the rest of your body. It's meant to transfer 1,500 pounds of force. So, but if our calves are not absorbing that energy, then our foot absorbs it more. So we want to make sure that we're keeping our calves loosey-goosey. And when we sit a lot, whether we're riding in a car or whether we are sitting at a desk, it doesn't make any difference. Our body responds the same way by tightening up. Okay, so just rocking and a rolling. And I'm just kind of following it along. Okay, so there's that. The other one that you can do is just laying truly. You can actually lay on your back with the foam roller underneath. And then from here, you're going to bring the knees up and just let it roll. You're going to let your foam roller put some pressure on those points. Bring the toes down, bring the knees up. Yep, we're feeling some pressure on the sacral spine, which is okay as long as you don't have any extra pain with it. You can put one leg up and the other one down. So we're working totally different in motion with this one while we're laying with the foam roller across our sacrum and our butt cheeks, our soft tissue, okay? Now, the other thing that we can do is we can open to the side, okay? We can also go one leg across, and we can rock and roll just a little bit through there with the leg across, okay? Because again, we're working on relieving those soft tissues, those muscles that are stabilizing the hip and rotating the hips inward and outward. And if one of those gets out of balance, it creates a lot of tension. So there's just a couple of ways, there's just a couple of ways that you can use a foam roller for relieving sciatica. Now, many of those of you who cannot get up and down up off the floor, we're here for you. So we're going to make sure we show you some things there too. But first things first, I want to show you how you can use the Horizon Balance Trainer to also work on stretching those areas out. Because a lot of times if we have tension in the low part of our back, we have got low back pain, it just creates a vicious cycle for the sciatica. So for what many of you consider sciatica. So we're gonna go legs out in front, and we're just gonna reach forward, and we're gonna take a couple of nice deep breaths right here, breathing in and out. And we're gonna come right back up, okay? And we're gonna rotate toes inward, and we're gonna reach forward, because we've got 3 different hamstrings that come up from underneath. They attach in different places. So depending on how our legs are rotated is where we collect more tension in our back, in our hips, and in our lower legs. Coming back up, okay? Now if we bring those legs together, reaching forward. So the Horizon is super comfy for all this. So if you have sciatica or have a pain in the butt, then a lot of people have a lot of pain with sitting and putting pressure on those points. So with the Horizon, you can actually sit on it, and it provides a nice cushy spot. Now, if you have questions about any of this stuff, make sure and post in the comment section about any thoughts or feedback that you might need. Going into a butterfly stretch here. So feet come together, keeping your head and your chest high. So this is a big secret. Most people will cave. Most people will round their back, and they feel it higher up in the back. I want you to keep your head and chest high, keeping your head, chest high towards me, and just taking your chest to your feet, and you'll feel a big stretch in the backside, okay? And if you want to fly away, like butterflies do on Earth Day, then you can fly away and reach forward, all right? Now, one of the exercises that I like to do, like I showed you before, is I like to start in this position with our legs open up to the sides, shoulder widths apart, and just rocking our knees together to one side, just back and forth. This is a really good exercise for gaining hip mobility. And we do it on the floor. I'm going to go through some floor exercises here at the end after we do some of these other exercises on the different platforms. Today I'm going to be featuring the Turbo, the Waver Mini, and the Rumble X4D. So you can see no matter what size platform you have, you can see how we can fix these aches and pains. Now from here, if you can cross the leg over, please feel free to try that, okay? We're going to rock to the side without falling off. So we're dealing with some balance here at the same time, which is really important. And if you're able to take the leg across your top, so instead of crossing over, lay your foot on top of the knee and keep the knee open, okay? And we just rock and roll in this position, which also helps get a lot deeper down into that tight spot in your deep butte muscle, okay? And then what you can do is we can take this all the way across until we actually feel the ground. You can still use the Horizon to lean back on. We're going to take our hand, we're going to reach for the sky and across. So we're actually rotating and opening our thoracic spine, because if our thoracic spine doesn't have any motion, it pulls on the hips even more. So this is a total body approach right here. Okay, nice job. So let's go back square. Okay, so we're here, hands up in the air. We're going to rock to the side and rock back. So now we're working some abs, working some balance. If you need to use your hand as a guide, that's fine. Taking it to the side, reach up and over, and you're going to feel a big stretch right back in here. Really, really good stretch, okay? We're going to take the leg either crossing over, so we're rocking side to side with control. Again, nice little ab workout here if you're not used to this. And then you can take it completely flat across, okay? And we're opening our other hip as we go across. If you have tightness on one hip, but you're not tight on the other hip, you need to make sure you're working both hips, because if you have one hip that's tight, one hip that is loose, it's going to compensate on both because of how the hip adjusts and rotates as a challenge to having inequality between both sides. So we want to make sure we are as balanced as possible on both sides. All right. Now, from here, I'm going to show you what you can do with the different devices, and then I'm going to show you what you can do without anything at all. So if you don't have anything at all, you're not at a loss. So let me adjust my screen yet again. And again, if you're still here watching, let me know what you're doing to celebrate Earth Day, or if there's a specific question you have in regards to sciatica, or having a pain in your butt, and that's not relative to a family member, right? Or a friend. I can't help you with the pains in your butts if it's not a body part. So if you got people driving you crazy, I can't help with that. All right. Let's go ahead and start with the waiver. This is the waiver mini. I'm going to go barefoot. I love to go barefoot when I'm working. All right. So I'm going to power on. People ask me all the time, which mode do I use? I like to go with the highest level because I feel like the highest level of vibration is what calms everything down, but you need to use a level that's comfortable for you. Once you find a preset program, you don't have to touch anything. It just kind of starts off. It'll go for this. The waiver mini is set for 15 minutes. And again, you can have a seat right on top. And from here, we just lean back and work side to side, allowing the vibrational energy to relieve the sides. Okay? So it's not uncommon for me just to have a seat. Okay? You can just have a seat on top and you can do some meditational, some breathing. We can work on doing some stretching while we're here. We can rock to the side. So everything I just did on the horizon, on the floor, as you hear, my voice is changing. Okay, so that's one way that you can do it, is just sitting on top of the waiver, whatever device you have. I just saw a comment pop up. Yay! Love Chesapeake. Oh, I love that you're working and watching. Multitasking there. All right, so if we're going to use this from a standing point, okay, we're going to get on top, and the waiver mini is much smaller, petite device than some of our others, which you can see on both sides. I've got the Turbo on one side and the Rumble X4D on the other. With this one, I want you to focus on opening your toes up as wide as you can. And from here, in order to really understand how to open up for the sciatica, most people, when I ask them to reach forward, they'll bend down to touch their toes. And you'll feel this along the back side of your legs, but it really doesn't dial in to where we want to feel it with the sciatica. So what I want you to do instead is keep your head and your chest elevated high and think about reaching forward as if you're going to touch an imaginary wall behind your back. I want you to think about touching that imaginary wall with your butt, but keeping your head and chest high. Okay? So we call that a hinge. And so what that looks like in the real world without a device is if I were to bend over and touch my toes, you're going to find that this is all rounded. Okay, so it takes the pressure. We don't have any stretching going on at the hips. So if I keep my head and chest high and think about touching booty to the back, we're going to feel a huge stretch back here, and that's where we want it. So let's make sure that we are not bending forward in an effort to touch our toes, but that we are keeping our head and our chest high, and we're just kind of rolling forward as far as we can go. And like right now, I can feel all this up my hamstrings on the backside. I can feel this in my calves, and I can also feel it right back here in my booty. Woo, as I lose balance. Okay, and then after you enjoy that, then you can reach all the way down and release. Now, because we have 3 different hamstrings, we want to make sure that our toes are facing square forward for one round. So head and chest stays high, reaching our booty back to touch a wall behind us and coming back upward. On the second one, we're going to go standing like Mary Poppins or Dorothy of Oz. So heels come in, toes are facing outward, head and chest is high, and touching your butt to the wall behind you as you let your arms relax. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that. So we're going from toes square forward. We're going to go Mary Poppins or Dorothy of Oz, clicking our heels, right? So heels are in, toes are out, head and chest is nice and tall. And just think about reaching that butt back to touch the glass wall behind you that doesn't exist, and keeping your arms nice and relaxed. So we don't want to do this with our arms because we're creating more tension. Just let your arms relax. And keep your knees soft. We don't want to lock out our knees. And we rise up, and let's do that one more time. So head and chest is high. We're reaching forward. We're going to enjoy this stretch for just a few moments. And then we're going to go ahead and reach all the way down and let this absorb the energy through our back, because if we have tension in our back, then it carries more pressure into the hips. So the question is, do we need mobility in the hips, or do we need a little bit of mobility in the thoracic spine, which is from here to here? So it's the midsection. Now, to access the third hamstring, so we've done Toes are facing square forward. Heels are in, toes are out. Now we have to do the opposite with toes in and heels out. Well, you got to keep those knees relaxed, okay? So we're going to go back up on top of the platform, going from heels in to toes out. So I'm going to turn one foot inward, turn the other foot inward. And this is always going to feel awkward. Most people don't like this stretch because it doesn't feel as good. I actually can already feel this in the front of my thigh on my left side. Don't feel it so much on my right. So that tells me one of my hips is a little more rotated because of either sleeping a certain way or I'm compensating somewhere. So let's keep that head and that chest elevated high, and let's reach forward as if we're touching our butt to the wall behind us, and just enjoy this moment for a sec. And then I'm going to reach down a little further. Feels so good. And then we're going to roll up just a little bit at a time. Okay, let's do that again. Head and chest is high, shoulders are back. Reach forward as if we're touching the butt to the wall behind us. So we're really feeling that tension changing along the backside as we reach down to the ground. And we're rising on up. All right, so that's how you're going to do that on the Waver, or the Waver Mini in this case. Okay, I'm going to pop up here and check out the questions. I have a very tilted pelvis. It makes sense, things like this a bit more exaggerated. What speed are you using on each machine for sciatica? Okay, Joy, I am using the highest speed that I can tolerate, because whatever speed we can tolerate, if we can tolerate a higher speed, I like to think the vibration platform is much like an earthquake effect, okay? And when we have structures in our hips that are stuck and they're glued together and they don't want to move and they're really short, we've got to create as much of a spasm earthquake effect to our connective tissue to break it free, so that we actually get circulation and we take the pressure off of those structures that are talking out loud to us. That's where our pain comes from. So it doesn't matter what speed you use as long as it's comfortable for you, but I always like to aim for the highest speed possible because it creates a greater earthquake. But we are always in control of our own earthquake. So make sure that your earthquake is comfortable for you. What I want to show you, why are we working on an earthquake? So if we're looking at what the human structure actually looks like beneath the surface, not what we think it looks like. But if we actually look like this, close to the sciatica, and you see that web, okay, that web is keeping our muscles from being able to lengthen or shorten. Another visual comparison of that is this right here, okay? If we are stuck and glued together like that, with our muscles not being able to shorten and lengthen both ways, then a vibration or an earthquake effect will create enough of a twitch, create enough of a reaction that those little strands will break away, and then those muscles can lengthen and shorten like they're supposed to again. The greater the storm, the greater the damage is, okay? But here's what I want you to remember. When I refer to as damage, we're trying to break this apart, because in the grand scheme of things, we need everything to be elaborate, gooey, open, hydrated, and shifting, multi-directional shifting, like a jelly structure. When we are not jelly, because we can't hydrate, and we become more stiff and brittle and adhered and glued together like paste, nothing can move the way it's supposed to. So the easiest way to start breaking that apart is using a mild earthquake effect, which I call the perfect storm. And that's what the LifePro magic machines do, is they create enough of an earthquake effect to break some of those strands apart so that we don't have adhesions, which is what causes our pain. So again, if we can break apart some of those structures, then the microfibers in our muscles and everything else around us can actually move the way that they're supposed to. And so that's why the whole body vibration platform does so many great things. Whenever we have an injury, okay, whenever we have an injury, we have here along the side right here, this is what normal tissue is going to look like when it's healthy. Anytime we have a micro tear, or if we strain a muscle, or we rip a muscle, or we have surgery, or stress for that matter, our body has to patch that area of damage. And it does so with this scar tissue. And scar tissue kind of looks like a bunch of patches that have been poured together with glue, and it just sticks there. But when it sticks there, it disables other structures from being able to move. So in order to get those structures to be able to move, we have to model the tissue in a way that it makes our body work better. So I like to say that the whole body vibration platform is an earthquake effect. It's a magic machine in order to help our connective tissue break free so that it can move the way that it's supposed to. So when it comes to speed, it does not matter what speed you use. But I will tell you, the Waver just has one motor. So the motor is an oscillating motor. It just tilts back and forth. And for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If we are just working with one plane of motion, okay, so we're jiggling, right? Then if we can get two more motors going, then we're going to get, or if we can get two motors total going, then we're going to get three-dimensional earthquake effect. So that's going to be your turbo. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that one next. When it comes to the turbo, you're going to choose the highest level of intensity that you can tolerate so that your body can respond to that vibration by breaking apart those microstrands, but also we're stimulating muscles to start working again. And a lot of individuals who have hip pain or have sciatica problems or have that numbness tingling going down their leg, their hip muscles are not firing like they're supposed to. They're lazy and they've gone to sleep. So we have to fire that bad boy right there, which is your gluteus medius, your gluteus minimus. And the gluteus maximus is usually working, but it's working wrong. It's not usually working in the right way. So we have to get all of these hip stabilizers to actually start firing again. And the platform automatically works like a battery charger to do that. That's how I got involved with LifePro, was it actually jump-started my battery. So let's go through the turbo. On the turbo, now what's really important to remember with the turbo can be really tricky if you're trying to operate it in manual mode because it has two different motors and each side of the control panel is a different motor. One motor just creates an intense amount of vibration called through pulsation, and one motor creates more of the teeter-totter effect, which is your oscillation motor. So it's really important to, if you're not familiar with how to operate the motors or which one you want to feel more, just select a preset program. But once you select a preset program, you cannot change time and you cannot change the speed of the motors because that defeats the purpose of having a preset program. I'm seeing, can you do all these with a bulging disc in the lower back? Yes, Deanna. Actually, it's going to help alleviate a disc in the low back. That's I've had to recover from 8 of those in years past, and I wish I would have had one of these a long time ago because a lot of disc bulges happen because our spine shifts so much from doing wrong movement patterns or from being in similar positions all the time that we forget how to stabilize properly, and then we go to move a certain way and our body says enough is enough, I'm out of balance and I can't do this anymore. So it creates that painful effect of having that disc bulge so that you quit doing certain things. But this will actually help in shifting that. I've got a whole nother video on how to alleviate low back pain, including the bulging disc. There's a whole series of exercises that you'll do with it using the platform. So if you go to YouTube and type in Amber Kivett LifePro back pain, I have the whole routine there. I learned how to walk again from 8 spinal injuries with no surgery. So it's really possible to overcome all of that without a lot of medication and a lot of different other therapies or surgical intervention. I wish I would have had the platform years ago when I was learning to walk again. Yes, okay, so when it comes to the turbo, I'm gonna set the preset program. HA is manual mode. HA is manual mode. And so again, I don't choose manual mode very often, never on the turbo because it's too complicated for me to think about it. And when I'm getting on here, I don't want any excuses as to why I have to get off too soon. And the number one excuse is because I don't understand how to turn on the machine. So we're gonna go with the preset number. And on this one, we have a total of 8 preset programs. So I'm just gonna go straight up to the top and I'm going to go with that, okay? Now remember, if that's too much energy for you, if you bring your feet closer together, you don't feel as much intensity as if you take your feet super wide apart. So if you're finding that this is making your back hurt or your booty muscles hurt a little bit more, you're feeling more of the sciatica, then just simply bring your feet closer together. And number 2, just bend the knees a little bit. Because if you bend the knees just a little bit, it takes the energy from running right up the center of your being. If we keep the legs straight, or even try and lock our knees out, which I do not recommend, not locking your knees, not a good idea. But if you do have your knees super straight, you're going to feel it in your hips and in your back a lot more. So just bend the knees a little bit. And if that's still too much for you, then make sure and have a seat on a bar stool or on a chair or something that's elevated. You can also change the angle of application through the feet. I've taught this before with some of the exercises for the barefoot, but 80% of the neuroreceptors that give your brain information about feedback, about where it's at in space, and receiving the information for your brain to make decisions for you to move in a certain pattern, all of that happens on the skin on the bottom of your feet. So I always recommend going barefoot when you're using the platforms. If you're not doing an actual workout and you're trying to heal, or you're trying to use it for pain management, use it with just your bare feet. There was a question posted earlier today. I suddenly have plantar fasciitis. Is this a negative effect of the platform? And the answer to that is no. Actually, the platform will help with plantar fasciitis. So we don't want to avoid the platform because it feels like it's causing us more pain. But what I do want you to remember is our body is very resistant to change. So if we don't choose change, change likes to choose us. So sometimes the body is stuck like goo in its own ways, and it doesn't want to change. So it's very resistant to change sometimes. So we just have to keep pushing the line a little bit as you can tolerate it. But the secret is just making sure you're keeping your knees relaxed. Now I turn my toes out with the heels facing inward. So I'm actually feeling this more here on the outside of my hips versus if I'm straight forward. I actually feel this more deep into my butt cheeks as opposed to here on the outside of my legs. So if you turn the toes outward towards the corners, you're going to feel it more on the areas like right in here, okay? If we go toes inward, we actually feel it more here on the inner side. So the question I have for you is, when you're trying to feel better and when we are feeling certain amounts of pain, are we feeling it directly right up the backside? Are we feeling it crossing over on an angle? Or are we feeling it on the inside? Because we have to change the alignment of how our muscles flow. So give yourself a try of going toes outward, Mary Poppins style, toes straight forward like we normally would stand, or toes facing inward, okay? And just make sure when your toes facing inward that you're keeping your knees nice and relaxed, that we're not locking out our knees, because it is not comfortable on the hips, all right? So from there, now, the other thing I want you to try, if you have the balance and the comfort to do this, is with your feet in complete contact with the platform, I just want you to lift your toes. Just lift your toes up and down, because you're going to feel that all the way up to your butt, believe it or not. And if you don't have the ability to move your toes, that might be part of your problem, as crazy as that's going to sound. If you don't have motion in your toes, you don't have mental control over picking your feet up and spreading your toes, that actually originates here in your lumbar and your sacral spinal nerve roots. So you have to reconnect those phone lines, which then takes the pressure off of your sciatic nerve, believe it or not. Our body has to work together, and a lot of times it just doesn't. So let's see what we have here. Which system is good for osteopenia, spine and hip problems, arthritis from an early age, pain from injuries, fibromyalgia, and helps with toning and weight loss? The Rumble-X, hands down, the Rumble-X. I have fibromyalgia. That's why I itch like crazy if I've been off of it for more than 3 or 4 days at a time. And as soon as I get back on it, it's like, oh boy, am I lit up with toxicity. So I love the Rumble-X. You can do the Rumble-X 4D, you can do the Rumble-X Pro, the Rumble-X Max, the Rumble-X Plus, or the Relax-A-Vibe. We've got 5 different platforms that fall in the Rumble-X series, and the Rumble-X series just means it has 3 motors, so we're getting multiple dimensions of the perfect storm of an earthquake effect. And so if you have the money that you can set aside to invest, I like to say it's an investment, not an expense, because you are actually going to feel totally different in your life if you use one of our platforms. It will change your life, I swear it will. If it doesn't, call and let them know that I told you it would, and it didn't, and they'll give you your money back, because we guarantee the units. But if you can jump right up into a Rumble-X platform, because it has 3 motors, so it's going to provide way more stimulus, total body range, recalibration, restructuring, eliminating nasty webs and glue in our system, then start with that, because you can turn the Rumblex into a waver or a turbo by manually operating it if you don't want all three motors running at the same time. But it is a completely different unit from any of our other units. So that is how you're going to change up the motion on the turbo. Okay, so there's that. Now we're going to bring out the Rumblex 4D. Now, on the Rumblex 4D, what I want you to remember on this is we want to make sure, if you're going to sit on the Rumblex 4D, make sure that you have a mat handy, because if on the Rumblex Plus, it has a screen lock feature, so you can actually turn on there's a button on the remote that you're able to activate, and it keeps the screen on if you should accidentally touch it. But I like to simplify that process. This is a mat that I made at home. The Rumblex comes with an extra mat that you can lay across it. So I'll just go grab that. And again, this is the Waver Mini, and the Waver Mini is not a bad thing for sciatica, but if you can jump into the Rumblex, I highly recommend just jumping in from the top, from the very get-go. Okay, so your Rumblex is going to come with an extra black mat, and it fits nice and handy right up there on top of the unit, so that you don't happen to use your thigh to rub across it by accident. So on the Rumblex 4D that I'm showing you, it has a curve to it, which changes the energy going up through the body. If you put your feet into the curve, okay, and you push into the curve, you're going to feel everything working a lot more through here, okay, through the sides. And so I highly recommend you try doing that. And then, last but not least, if you happen to have the Amber Squishy Ball, I got to get my Amber Squishy Ball. The Amber Squishy Ball is now available with the Horizon Balance Trainer. It comes with, but if you don't have an Amber Squishy Ball, you can go on Amazon and you can purchase one. It's called a Pilates bar ball, and you want a 9 or 10-inch ball, but it is a squishy ball. So a kickball works as well. But when you stand on the platform, or you can even sit on the platform, when you put the ball in between your legs and your feet are in contact with the unit, or your butt's in contact with the unit, we are now activating every muscle in our lower body all the way up to our rib cage in order to activate and work and stabilize. And that's one of the biggest problems with sciatica, is those muscles usually are not turned on. So if you're wanting to turn on those muscles, super easy peasy, get yourself an Amber Squishy Ball off of Amazon, or at your local Walmart, Target, whatever you want to shop for. But it can be a kickball, or like I said, this is considered a Pilates barbell, but this is the one that comes with the Horizon Balance Trainer. So if you don't have the Horizon Balance Trainer, it's a good one to get. And like I said, we showed some demos on that. Now, when you are on the Rumblex, okay, it doesn't matter if it's the Rumblex 40, the Rumblex Plus, the Rumblex Pro, or the Relax-A-Vibe, I like preset program P2. It's my favorite. And I don't know why it's my favorite. I think it's because there's a lot of variety across the board. It's more aggressive. I can like feel the energy in it. But if you're a beginner and you're not feeling the love of the intensified, the intensity of the unit, I should say, then you're going to choose with the P1 or the P3 to start with, because a P2 might be too much for you. And if you're looking for the ultimate for weight loss and for maintaining muscle tone and for eliminating junk in the trunk, P2 is your program, okay? Those are my favorites. Everybody has a favorite though, so you don't have to go with my favorite. It's just, that's what I suggest. You don't have to worry about, as soon as you turn on your device, you don't have to worry about changing the time or changing the program speed. Once you push the preset button and you push play, you cannot change anything else. You just have to run with it. All right, so we're gonna start, and I'm gonna sit on it with my squishy ball, okay? And from here, I'm just gonna put my squishy ball right here on the inside of my legs, and I'm just gonna squeeze away. And when I squeeze away, we were talking about pelvic tilts and pelvic floors and back pain. If you have back pain, this is actually gonna help you, okay? So I am leaning back. And when I lean back, guess where the pressure, the vibrational energy is going? It's going in the fan of the fanny, going into the fan of the booty muscle. So I'm going to turn this so you can see it. Yeah, so when I'm doing these exercises, I'm actually leaning back onto the unit into the spot where a lot of people feel uncomfortable, and it's providing a very soothing recovering feeling. So I'm squeezing, and I can go feet flat or I can go on my heels, whichever you want. But if I just squeeze and pulse, okay, I'm feeling everything working right now. So you're going to feel this in your inner thigh. You're going to feel it in your abs. You're going to feel it all the way down into your ankles. It's a great exercise. Now, the other thing that you can do is putting the amber squishy ball somewhere along the inner thighs, and we can rotate side to side, but make sure you keep a hold of your ball, okay? So we're actually squeezing while we are vibrating. Oh, I'm starting to feel the energy. I hope you guys are having a fun day so far. Yeah, so I'm starting to feel this a lot in my hips, okay? So we're just rocking and rolling side to side. And then if we take our hands up and actually put more pressure up high, okay, or we can hold on to our knees, you're going to feel this a lot deeper, more in the hip socket or where the femur inserts into the joint, because I'm no longer spreading and mashing out that butt muscle, okay? The other thing that you can do is you can turn to the side. We can turn to the side and we can stack up the knees. Now, you might have to double up your mat for this if this doesn't feel so good, but you can squeeze and release. Because again, a lot of the time, we don't have hip stabilizers that are working very well, and that's what can cause some of the sciatica problems. So we're just squeezing, and then we would repeat this on the other side. And again, we're working inner thighs, we're working outer thighs, while the opposite leg is getting the vibrational energy. So it's a really good exercise. Okay, now the other thing we can do is we can just lean back and hold on and stabilize. Because right here, and if this doesn't feel good to you, then you can just lean back and leave the legs up, or we can actually just leave the legs down if you want to, and we can just work pelvic tilts, okay? So pelvic tilts meaning I am tilting a belt buckle. So imagine you got on a fancy belt buckle. I want you to tilt the belt buckle towards you so you can see all the bling on it. So tilting the belt buckle so I can see the bling. Now tilt the belt buckle away from you. And we tilt towards, and we tilt away. Oh, this is feeling good. Good stuff. Now, the other thing that we can do is we can take our legs out straight. So you can actually keep in contact with the ball if you want to, okay? Roly-poly the ball out and away. The other thing, I'll show you another exercise you can do here in just a second, but we can still work pelvic tilts while we're in this position, okay? And we can also work windshield wipers side to side. A lot of different ways you can do that. Now, I'm going to show you another thing. I forgot to grab these, but these are the yoga rings. And I've got them handy dandy right here in front. So you've seen Roseanne and Debbie using these in some of their videos, okay? But we can actually use these in between our legs, okay, to stabilize. Now, you don't have to squeeze, but you have to hold it there, right? So if you hold it and rock side to side, that works really well, okay? We can also go holding with the feet. So now we're getting feet engaged, okay? Now, if we don't like how that feels, then we can grab the big one and we can actually put our feet up a little bit so we're not having to stabilize ourselves. So if you don't have these yoga rings yet, they come 3 to a set, and it's a great little addition in that it brings your feet up to the same level of device while you do these windshield wipers with your legs, okay? A lot of different ways you can use this, okay? Now, we can also go long ways, and we can roll this away from our body and balance on top, okay? And enjoy doing your pelvic tilts from this position right here. But my feet are elevated, which changes the alignment of my hips, and I'm getting the vibrational energy all at the same time. So a lot of different things we can do here, okay? All right, now, let's go to a standing position. Lots of LifePro toys here. So many different opportunities. That's why I love LifePro, is because there's so many different ways to heal so many problems. And if you go to see a physical therapist, I love physical therapists. I refer to a lot of them. I perform a lot of the same services, but if you don't have thousands of dollars to go to a physical therapist and you have to pay for it yourself, you have the expertise right here to do at home with a unit that's going to cost the same amount of money as your initial visit. So let's go ahead, stand atop. And on this one, like I said, we have a bit of a curve. So if we relax the knees and push our feet into the curve, we actually feel this in our legs a lot more than if we're just standing up here. It actually feels really, really good, by the way. Love how that feels. Think about keeping your ribs lifted from your hips. When we hunch forward, we slump forward. It actually tightens everything down. We want to separate because the separation is what's going to relieve that sciatic pain. Okay, and again, think about lifting and pressing your toes. And if you want to put the hands on the knees and get into this position a little bit deeper, you can do that. Feels really good. If you have questions, please make sure to post. And if you see this after we've already gone live, make sure and post some questions later and I'll come back and check it out. And on the other side of things, so I'm rotating here. So I'm reaching around, grabbing the outside of my body. Why? Because our body works in cross crawl patterning. So diagonal patterns. So if one part of my shoulder up top is tight, it's going to pull on the opposite hip, which then takes care of more pressure in the sciatic area. So you can get into a little bit of a squat, reach across the body and slide down and enjoy the stretch. Oh, I can feel that right here on the backside and it feels great. Okay, rising up, reaching across, rotating the outside, just holding this position right here. Yep, can feel that on the lower left because I'm reaching to the right. Coming on up. Okay, now we're going to reach down and across to the bottom. Oh, it just feels so good. I'm so glad that we decided to do this today because I didn't realize how much I needed this. And I love being able to share with you some of my secrets as to how I heal a lot of my clients, helping them heal, I should say. All right, and then right back up. Now, like I mentioned earlier, if we go Mary Poppins stance, so heels are in, toes are outward, and just drop into a little bit of a squat here with our hands on our knees. That's really opening up the hips, exposing that hot spot on the back side of our rear. That's where the sciatic nerve runs. Reaching down a little bit further, getting a really good stretch in the low back. Don't be afraid of being on the platform and getting into all these crazy positions. If you need something to balance on, make sure you've got a chair or some kind of an object or countertop near you. Rolling on up. Okay, let's go. Toes are inward, heels are outward. Let's just open our hearts and open our chest. And let's think about squeezing the glutes a little bit. And don't forget to breathe. Most important thing, okay? Reaching down. There's a much deeper sensation there. Trace those arms back up. Reaching to the opposite side. Rolling on up. Going square, toes to me. Okay. Again, we're opening up, lifting our hips from our ribs because a lot of times just opening the spine up long ways and a little bit of extension without reaching back too far actually takes the pressure off that sciatica as well. And just absorbing this energy. And then again, if we want to put the Ember squishy ball in between the legs and really drive the energy up into the groin and into our pelvis, pelvic floor, up into our diaphragm, it's an awesome, awesome exercise. Good stuff. Now, we've got 15 seconds left here on this unit. After this, I'm going to take you down to the floor onto a mat and show you all the exercises that you can do at home in order to help with alleviating any kind of butt, hip, sciatic pain as an accessory or as a complement to what you've already done with the LifePro product. So this is your free rehab session today in how you can do some of these exercises at home. One of the bonuses about being a LifePro customer is you get all of these little directives for free, and otherwise it would cost you a couple of $100 going to see a therapist to learn how to do it. So we're just throwing it in for an extra little perk today. All right, so what I want you to do is you're gonna lay on your back, okay? And from here, we're gonna go about shoulder width apart with our feet, and arms are off to the side. And I just want you to roll your legs to the side, back and forth. And let's just see which side are we tighter, which side makes our chest actually move a little bit more, because we want to keep our arms in contact with the floor and allowing our hips and our torso to rotate a little bit better. All right, so this is a good starting point. And then if we bring our feet together, so feet are together, knees are touching, we get a totally different feeling when we do this, totally different feeling. And on this, I'm actually feeling this more right across here and right through here. So this is an excellent exercise in order to loosen up those hips. And like I said, when we have tight hips, that equals sciatic pain. Now from here, take that top leg and just stretch it out, okay? And you just work with whatever you can within your own abilities. If you can only stretch it out to so far, that's okay. You just slowly work it a little bit more each time. And you're gonna find that as you get on your unit at home, if you have a vibration platform, doesn't matter which one, as you get on it, you're gonna be able to do more and more and more, okay? So we're just relaxing into these stretches, all right? From here, we're gonna bring our knees to our chest. I like to call this 90, 90, 90. So we've got 90 degrees in the foot ankle, 90 degrees in the knees, 90 degrees in the hips, okay? So 90, 90, 90. We're gonna take our legs to the side, slowly lower them to the ground, and we're gonna reach across the other side, okay? Reaching across, so we're getting a big stretch here in our chest, because believe it or not, if we are used to sitting at a computer all day and our chest is really tight, it's gonna make the opposite hip just as tighter, and typically it can be it can be on the front or it can be on the back, either way. But if you can loosen up the hips, it makes the sciatica pain like much more tolerable, if not absent. Bringing one leg up at a time so that you can tolerate that. Slowly roly-poly to the other side. I like to say roly-poly, it sounds fun. And taking the other hand and reaching away. So you're feeling that pull all the way through your chest. We're feeling the pull all the way down here through our area in which we typically will start to feel some of that pulling or sciatic pain. Bringing the leg up, coming together, okay? Let's try it again. And if you have to do one leg at a time, take one leg down and follow with the other. You can do that. If you have trouble controlling the weight, it's okay. We can modify that. That's not a big deal. Another thing I like to do is to put the squishy ball in between, or you can even use the yoga rings in between in order to control how that body moves across. Excuse me. Coming back up. All right, now watch this. We're gonna go feet to the floor. We are gonna cross one leg over. I don't care if you cross it over like you normally would wearing a dress, or if you're going to wear with your leg draped flat across, doesn't matter, whichever one you're comfortable with. If you want to feel it more here in the deep booty, you're gonna have your foot laying across the knee with the leg flat up top. And all I want you to do is just roly-poly, roly-poly, just really slow back and forth, a little bit at a time. And from here, we're gonna take this all the way across. So slowly let it fall, fall, fall until you find the ground. And then we just relax here and we breathe. Just relax and breathe into this. You're gonna feel a lot of tension, typically up here in the higher part of the pelvic girdle. That's where your gluteus minimus medius attach. And if you're really tight up here, it's gonna create more pain down here when you least expect it, okay? And so if you need to bring that leg up so you can get yourself back to a starting point, let's switch legs. And like I said, we can cross over so it's not as big of an angle, or we can go leg flat across, okay? And let's roly-poly just a little bit at a time. Nice and easy. And let's take it on across until you're comfortable. If you can't find the floor because you don't have that much mobility, it's okay. If you just get to right here and you need to position a pillow or a ball or something underneath of your foot so you can really breathe and relax into this, that's fine. You totally have the opportunity to do that. Okay, bringing the leg up and back across. Now, another one of my favorites is we're gonna bring the knee up to our chest, take your other foot and push your other foot flat into the wall in front of you. So my right knee is to my chest, my left foot pushing foot flat into the wall in front of me, and we're gonna take this knee and roll it across. And we're gonna get a big stretch here in our low back, here in our deep booty, okay? All those areas, and I want you to take that opposite hand and give me a little wave, giving me a wave. Okay, and from here, we're gonna come back to the center. We're gonna take the leg and straighten it out as best as you can, and I want you to point and pull. So push the gas pedal with your foot back and forth, and you're probably gonna feel that going all the way up like a little zing. We call that a nerve glide. So that helps with pain and tension along that sciatic nerve. Let's draw some circles, because sometimes we can get some tension here in the lower legs on the outside. So drawing a circle, and from here, stretch those arms out to the sides and just let this leg fall across your body until it finds the ground. And then you're gonna reach towards me with your palm up to the sky and give me some wiggle fingers. So again, we're nerve gliding here, which helps with a lot of nerve stretching for the right reasons. Okay, so we're gonna bring that leg inward and roll back across. Let's go back down. We're gonna fix the other side. So bring the other knee up. So I'm bringing my left knee up, and I'm going to drive my right heel, my right foot flat into the wall, okay? I'm going to point and flex like a gas pedal. I'm gonna roll this across my body. And now we're feeling the stretch right there deep in that fanny, okay? Take the other hand and rotate, trying to turn the doorknob away. So rotating the doorknob side to side is what I like to think about, turning the doorknob. Okay, bringing it back up. Let's go foot flat into the ceiling, and the other foot needs to be flat into the wall. So flat into the ceiling, flat into the wall. Let's point that foot, getting a little gas pedal going. Okay, and then from here, let's draw some circles. One direction, and then we go the other direction. Arms go out wide. Let that body flow over to the side as you feel a big stretch all the way down your hip, down the outside of your leg. A lot of people get tight here in the iliotibial tract, also known as the IT band. You cannot stretch the IT band. It is a connective piece of fascia. So it takes about 3,000 pounds of force to stretch or lengthen that tissue out. So the best way to lengthen it out is to release it up here in the hip. Much easier to do it up there. And turn the doorknob with your other hand. And bring that leg in and relax. Now, we're gonna sit on up, and this is my last favorite stretch. And you can use one of the yoga rings if you'd like to in order to help stabilize this, but this is they call this the Pigeon Stretch. And here's how I like to get into it. This is the easiest way for me to show you how to get into it. So if we are here, okay, we're gonna drop our knees to the side, okay? We're gonna take this leg here on the right, we're gonna take it behind our body, okay? I want you to come up onto the other knee, okay? And when we get into the position, I want you to make sure that you are balancing your big toe and your little toe equally across the top of your foot. So if you're having to rotate your body to the side, let me face you into the camera so I'm straight up and down. When you get into this position, you want to make sure that your foot is balanced on across the top equally from big toe to little toe, all right? So show you here again on the side. So we're here. We're going to rotate, dropping the knees away to the side. Chest comes up and over the left knee. Back leg comes right underneath the hip bone on the front. And my foot is balanced across the top of the foot, not more to the side or the inside. So no inside outside. Now from here, we can use this ring and we can stretch out from here, okay? And if this does not feel good, then we can just hold ourselves up to wherever we're comfortable. In order to feel more into that deep sciatic space, we take the foot away from our body. So every time we take the foot away from our body, we put more pressure stretch into the sciatic space. So if we roll across the other side, we're going to come up across chest into the knee in front of us. The other leg comes down behind, straight line behind. So we want to make sure that we're up on top of the hip and stretching ourselves nice and easy as best as we can tolerate it. And the pressure is along straight line on top of the foot. And we can really stretch out here if we really want to, okay? In order to increase the pressure onto the sciatic space, just take the foot away from your body. Okay, so that's how you get into that stretch, okay? The other position that I like to teach, if you don't want to get into what's called pigeon, is you can rotate to the side, draw a big rainbow on Earth Day, and reach out into the gold pot of coins, okay? And you're going to feel a big stretch in your tushy, okay? We're going to roly-poly across to the other side. Same thing, draw a really big rainbow across, reach, reach, reach into a pot of coins. Okay, and you're going to feel all of that through here, which is really important. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so Pamela says, I got one of your LifePros for my youngest daughter who has MS. She uses it every day. Will one of these help my older daughter who had procedures on her knee? It will, let's see. Yes. So if you've had knee surgery, it's really important to have the squishy ball, because one of the first things that we fix anytime we have knee surgery, whether it's a total knee replacement or whether it is an orthopedic surgery for meniscus repair, lateral collateral ligament or medial collateral ligament, or an ACL reconstruction, meniscus tear, what have you, the first thing we're going to try and do is get this muscle right here on the inside of the knee to start actively firing again, and that's called your VMO. And one of the best kept secrets to VMO firing is putting a ball in between the legs and holding it there, squeezing hard, because it requires all these muscles along the inside to work together at the same time. And then what you can do if you've had surgery on the knee and you're needing to making sure that you're not loading on it, so if you're still on crutches or if you're still in a brace, then you can sit down on an object while you're vibrating, okay? And just make sure that your feet are flat, because what's really important with the knee is a hinge joint, which means it's not meant to rotate side to side, okay? A knee is a hinge joint, so it's not meant to spin and rotate. So when we have things fixed within the knee, the only time that we're going to have knee pain over the top is if we have a foot angle alignment challenge or we have a hip alignment challenge. So if we can mobilize the hips and strengthen in certain areas, and we can keep our feet flat and get our toes working better, then the energy is just connected to our hip via the knee joint. But in order to get the knee working on the inside, because a lot of us are overworking out here, if we squeeze a ball, then it automatically activates this muscle right here, which keeps the kneecap tracking the way it's supposed to. Hopefully that gives an answer to your question. All right. I think those are all the things that I wanted to show you. I do want to say something about degenerative disc disease. I hear this a lot, and so here's what I want you to remember. When it comes to degenerative disc disease and osteoarthritis, I'm sure that there are other doctors out there who can speak their opinion if they choose to. I've got 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 16-year-olds that come into my facility on a daily basis that are suffering from what an MRI shows or an X-ray shows as osteoarthritis or degenerative disc disease. Don't let that diagnosis scare you, because it is very, very common. When we don't move very often, or we move the extreme opposite, we move too much doing the same things, our body starts to become more inflamed, and arthritis is simply, by definition, the inflammation of a joint. When we have bone on bone grinding, that's a different story because there's nothing there to soften the grind. But if we have degenerative disc disease, it means that a lot of our disc spaces are starting to thin out. They're not as hydrated. So make sure that you're hydrating, and make sure that you're continuing to move, because if we're not moving, we're not metabolizing, we're not regulating our body. And that's what gives our body the ability to heal itself is through movement. So movement is medicine, motion is lotion. So make sure you stay moving some form or another. But don't let degenerative disc disease or osteoarthritis scare you as a diagnosis not to move, because a lot of people, it is very, very common. I hear it every day from my clients that come in. My specialty is sports medicine and instant pain relief. So people come to see me when they have a lot of pain and nothing else has worked. That's when they come see me. So, but degenerative disc disease does not take away your ability to start firing your core abdominal muscles and your pelvic floor. If we can get our pelvic floor, this hammock of muscles down here, working in synchrony with our diaphragm up here, it creates an explosive vacuum of energy and takes the pressure off of our joints and off of our spine. But most of us are not using the power vacuum. So that is the first place to start. If you have low back pain, or if you have osteoarthritis or degenerative disc disease, any kind of a spinal injury, whether it's a disc bulge or a disc herniation, the first thing you have to get working is the pelvic floor, which are these lower muscles down here, and breathing properly. And when you can start working on the diaphragm, which falls right below the rib cage, and you start working this down here, then things work so much easier and we don't have to work as hard. So hopefully that helps you with that. If you're looking for exercises for degenerative disc disease or pelvic pain or hip pain, if you go to YouTube under the LifePro subscription and type in Amber back pain or Amber hip pain or Amber pelvic floor, there's already a video right there teaching you how to do the exercises that I regularly prescribe for hip and back pain, as well as the one for the knee pain. So if you have knee pain, there's also a video there that already demonstrates all the exercises and how to use our different vibration platforms for minimizing or curing knee pain, back pain, hip pain by utilizing the rehabilitation exercises in collaboration with our platforms. So I hope that you all had a great time listening and learning about sciatic relief today with our many different devices. Today featured, we had the Horizon Balance Trainer. I've got it right here. This is always something fun to use because it's kind of bouncy. And if you have pain and it's really hard to sit, this is a unit in which you can sit on because it's soft and it kind of flows in line with your body. We have the yoga rings, okay, which you can use, and there you have this nice texture rubberized ring on the outside, and they come in a set of 3 different sizes. And we've got lots of videos with Roseanne teaching how to use those. That's her specialty if you're wanting to learn about that. We've got the Surger and the Surger Pro vibrating foam rollers. They both work exactly the same. One has a heating element that works on the outside, the other one does not. If you can buy them on our website, lifeprofitness.com/Amber, or on Amazon, I highly recommend going with the Surger Pro. And if they don't have the Surger Pro, this is the Surger Original. I've had this device for 3 or 4 years now. It was one of the first devices that I bought after I bought a platform. And I sell these like hotcakes. We go through a lot of these because they work. They're such a great product. And then we had 2 different massage guns. We have the Dynam Mini and we have the Sonic M1 massage gun, teaching you how to use that in your booty and in your hips in order to soften the pain to those areas. We have the Waver Mini, which is smaller platform that you can take with you on the road, hotel rooms, RVs, campsites. You can use this in much smaller places. If you're in a condominium and or a vacation home and you just don't have a lot of space, the Waver Mini is our small device that works really good. We went over the Turbo, and the Turbo is just a little bit wider than that. And then you saw me end with the Rumble X 4D, which is curved. So I think that ties up all of our loose ends and brings everything full circle. Don't forget today's Earth Day, so get outside, absorb all of nature's great gifts to share with us, helping us to recharge, relax, and to revitalize our life. We use our senses, our 5 senses, in order to replenish and breathe great oxygen into our body to create increased regeneration of cellular production and oxidation, and then keeping balance. So I talked about keeping balance in your life. So making sure you're taking time for you, and on the days that you don't have time to take for you, make sure that you're doing something special to make your day extra special so that you can keep your mind in check and you can keep your body stress-free and flowing. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Cannot wait to see you guys next week for my birthday celebration. I'm definitely going to come around and celebrate my 44th with you because you make me feel like I'm growing younger as LifePro devices continue to biohack into me for an optimal me, making me feel younger. So if you have questions about other things that we can be doing to biohacking into your biology in order to making you feel vibrant and better, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you so much for watching today, and you guys have the best weekend ever. Peace out.